Hi everyone! In this video we're going to learn about Lishi tools and how locksmiths use them to open and decode car locks. Let me start by explaining why this tool is so useful. Before Lishi tools existed, locksmiths had to remove the entire lock from the car door. They would then take the lock apart, decode it manually, cut a key based on that decoding, and finally reinstall the lock into the car. It was a long, difficult, and risky job, especially if you were working outside or in a tight space. But now, with a Lishi tool, you don't need to remove anything. You can pick the lock and decode it right there in the door, in the ignition, or even in the trunk, without taking the lock out. But in order to use them correctly, you need to understand each part of the tool and how they work together. Let's break down the full anatomy of a Lishi tool, piece by piece. 1. The keyblade, insertion arm. The blade is the long, flat part of the tool that you insert into the lock. It's shaped like a car key and is matched to a specific key profile, for example, HU66 or HU101. The profile must match the lock you're working on. The blade has grooves and markings that help you measure positions and depths inside the lock. 2. Lifters, also called pick arms or levers. Lifters are one of the most important parts of the tool. These are thin arms attached to the Lishi body that move up and down. You use them to lift or press the lock wafers, also called sliders or levers, inside the car lock. Here's how lifters work. Each lifter aligns with a specific position inside the lock. When you move the lifter, it pushes on one of the wafers. You apply light pressure to feel the wafer and check if it's binding, springy, or set. Most Lishi tools have 2 lifters, one for each side of the lock. However, some tools only have 1 lifter with 2 pointer tips, depending on the lock type. Lifters are extremely sensitive. You don't need to use a lot of force. In fact, too much pressure can damage the lock or tool. You only need light or medium pressure depending on the key profile. 3. Tension arm or tension bar. This is the part that applies turning pressure to the lock cylinder. The tension arm is located near the back of the tool and often looks like a flat tab or built-in extension. It mimics what a real key would do when turning the lock. You use the tension arm by applying gentle pressure either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the lock direction. While you're picking with the lifters, the tension arm holds everything in place. It's extremely important because too much tension can make the wafers stiff or hard to move. Too little tension will not bind the wafers and nothing will happen. When picking with a Lishi tool, you'll feel different responses from each wafer. These signals help you know what to do. Springy. Feels soft and bouncy. It's not ready, skip it and come back later. Firm. Feels solid or tight. This is the one to pick. Apply light pressure. Stiff or stuck. Doesn't move at all. Your tension might be too strong. Ease off a bit. Once all the binding wafers are set correctly, the lock will turn. Feeling these differences is what makes picking successful. 4. Depth grid. On the body of the Lishi tool, you'll see a small chart or grid with horizontal and vertical lines. This grid shows vertical lines. These are the wafer positions. 1, 2, 3, etc. Horizontal lines. These are the cut depths of the key. 1 is the deepest, 4 or 5 is the shallowest, depending on the system. Each time you lift a wafer and it stops on a certain line, that tells you the depth at that position. This is how you decode the lock. You feel the wafer with the lifter. You see where the lifter pointer stops. You record that position and depth. Later, you can use this information to cut a key. It's extremely important to watch the pointer closely while lifting. That's how you know if you're at the correct depth and which number to write down. Some tools have dual pointers, where a single lifter has a tip for each side of the lock. That's why we call this a genius tool. It saves time, effort, and avoids damaging parts. Let's take the example of the HU66 Lishi tool. This tool is made for locks that follow the HU66 profile, which is very common in vehicles made by Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, and Seat. When you see a Lishi tool labeled HU66, it means it works on locks that match that exact key profile. You might also see markings like IGN, DR, or DT. These simply mean the tool works in different parts of the car: ignition, IGN, door, DR, or trunk, DT. So a tool labeled IGN/DR/DT means it works for all three. In that case, you'll use the Lishi tool labeled HU162 or HU162D. That tool may have 9 wafer positions, and the same concepts we just discussed will still apply. Each lock may be a little different, but once you understand how one Lishi tool works, the rest will start to make sense quickly. The position, depth, tension, and movement, it all follows the same pattern. So, to summarize, Lishi tools help locksmiths unlock and decode car locks without removing them. You use the lifters, tension arm, and pointer to gently feel the wafers inside the lock. You learn how to apply just the right pressure, read the depth and position, and decode the lock fully. Once you learn how to do this with one tool, you'll be able to use many others. This system is designed for locksmiths to work faster, safer, and with more confidence. And this is just the beginning. In the next videos, we'll show you real examples, how to pick different locks, how to decode them, and how to cut new keys using the codes you found. Thanks for watching. I hope this made things clear for you, and I'm excited to show you more in the next part of the training.